Today we're doing our Chapter 6 review notes. It's all material that we've covered before, so we don't need to go into as much detail as we have in the past. Just a little brief overview of all the concepts you need to know for the test. So first we had angles and different ways we could add angles or set up equations with angles. So we focused on complementary, supplementary, vertical angles, and the ones that add to 360, even though 360 didn't have its own name. So vertical angles were any two lines across from each other, and we always knew they were congruent. So say I had 2x minus 5 and 10x plus 15. And since they are congruent, we would set our equation equal to each other and then solve that equation. We're not going to actually go through and solve the equation because I'm trying to keep these shorter. And if we did examples for every single topic, then it would take way too long. We had supplementary. Those are angles on a straight line. And they add to 180. We have complementary. That was when we had a 90-degree angle, and those add to 90. And then we also had our circular type angle. Again, it doesn't have its own name. Where we had a couple of lines, and then the rest was filled in by a circle, and that adds to 360. So when we say add to, we would take whatever angles they have given us. Let's say we have 2x, 53 degrees, and 7x minus 30. Again, we're not going to actually solve this equation, but we'll set it up. So to set this up, we take each piece. 7x minus 30 is one angle. Add the next angle, 2x. Add the next angle, 53, and set it equal to 360. The only difference with supplementary and complementary is we would change this side. If it's supplementary, we'd add all the pieces, set it equal to 180. If it's complementary, we'd add all the pieces, set it equal to 90. We also had various ways to set up equations and find angles for parallel lines. Now we're not going to go through all the different names because it really boils down to, are they the same or are they different? So if I have two lines that are parallel, and this only works if they are parallel. If I don't tell you they're parallel, then we can't say any of this information. Actually, I don't want to label it like that. Sorry. Too far. Then if I give you two angles on those parallel lines, we're really just looking for, are the angles the same or are they different? So if I gave you an angle here, and an angle here, then we would just look to see, well, are they opening the same amount? This one looks like it's pretty obtuse, pretty big of an angle. So does this one. So if they're the same angle, we put an equal sign between each piece. So the same uses an equal sign. So we would have 5x minus 3 equals 10x plus 13. If they're different angles, they're supplementary. They add to 180. So we would set up our equation similar to how we set up that circular angle, except instead of 360, we'd use 180. So we had our various parallel lines, and again, it basically boils down to same or different. And we also had information about triangles that we could use to set up equations. So with our triangle equations, we also had congruent triangles, but we're going to talk about that after we talk about the triangle equations. We talked about the fact that the angles inside a triangle add up to a certain amount. The angles inside a triangle add to 360 degrees. Sorry, add to 180 degrees. I apologize. Add to 180 degrees. And we also learned if we have a triangle with an exterior angle, an angle outside, then the two angles inside equal the outside angle. So again, if we had 2x and 3x plus 3, and then this angle out here was 150 degrees, instead of using 180 or 360, we would add each piece, 2x plus 3x plus 3, and set it equal to 150 degrees. The last thing we talked about equation-wise, we did have a lot of equation setups, and that's a big portion of the test, is being able to set up these equations and solve these equations, is if we had two congruent triangles, so if we have two congruent triangles and I tell you they're congruent, I'd have to state in the instructions, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle, let's see, ABC SRQ. And I could give you information about any of the sides. Let's say we know this is x plus 3, and this is 30. Then, if we know they're congruent, we can set up our equation by setting them equal to each other. And again, we didn't go through any of the solving process because we've practiced solving equations so much, and I can help you with that in class if we still need to. So that covers a major portion of the test, is setting up those equations. One last thing that I almost forgot is we can set up an equation for a right triangle using the Pythagorean theorem. It only worked for a right triangle. And the most important part is identifying C, which was the angle, which was the side across from the right angle. When we put our numbers into the formula, C must be on its own side. It can't be on the same side as A or B. So once we've identified C, it doesn't really matter what the other sides are. I can put whatever they are in the A spot and the B spot in any order. But C must be on its own side of the equals sign. Again, once we've set up the equation, we simplify it and solve it. And I'll help you more with the simplifying and solving part in class, where I can give individual attention to the parts you might need of how to solve it. So the last thing, again, I was hoping these notes would be really quick so you didn't have to take too long of notes over the weekend, is being able to talk about congruent triangles. And we just went over that recently, so again, this is going to be fairly brief. We had the ways that work and the ways that don't work. Side, 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 angle, side, angle, 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 side, which you will need to have memorized. There will be none of those written on the test. You just have to know which ones work and which ones don't work. Angle, 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 and then angle, side, side doesn't work. Let's write it as side, side, angle. You know why. So we need to be able to identify which one works, and if it does work, make our triangle congruence statement. So when we say the triangle congruence statement, that's what I used on the previous one to tell you the two triangles are congruent. When we say triangle whatever is congruent to triangle whatever, that's our congruence statement. That means we know these two triangles are the same. So if we have angle, 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 we don't know they're the same, and we can't actually make that statement. Or if we have side, side angle, we can't make that statement. And we just had to make sure we make that statement in order. So say I have set up like this. We have A, B, C, D. And I tell you this is a right angle, and I tell you these sides match. Now we might initially think, hey, this doesn't work because all they gave me is one side and one angle, but there were those pieces of assumed information. So the line in the middle we can assume is the same because it's used for the triangle, for each triangle. We use the same line to make each triangle. So now that we have that assumed information, we know we have a side. We travel down to the nearest other piece of information, so the nearest piece is the next angle, and then side. So we know side, angle, side. We just have to make sure we go in order. If I pick my first triangle to be ABD, I can pick that to be whatever I want. I went from A to B, that line didn't have any marks at all, so I need to use BC because it doesn't have any marks. But then I went down the middle line, so I have to go from C to B so that my next move can be down that middle line, and we get CBD. You can also, if you have any other questions, you can watch any of the other YouTube videos that have the more detailed notes. And we will review Monday, test Wednesday.